So when you talk about documents, I gave us instances of graduation of the meaning of the word document. And I said that that was a time when it was construed that document simply means a paperwork. When you have a paper and you have something written on it, that is a document. So that was the ancient time, what a document stood for. For instance, even before paper was invented, you have things like the papyrus, the Egyptian, mode of writing, the Egyptian type of tablets. And then also, you also remember the kind of document that God gave to Moses. You still remember, it was not a paperwork, it was what? It was a tablet. Now, from there, if you have read maybe the history of the Bible, how most of the books of the Bible were written, they were parchments, scrolls. Petrus parchments and other kind of parchments. Somebody who from his own angle, as the person is led, he writes and is always in a scroll. So those things were documented. In the time past, they were looked upon as the only thing that you could call document. But with time, in course of time, what constituted the fulcrum of documents started to have the expanded view. And this expanded view includes that any substance on which a mark is made or something written is a document. Any substance on which a mark is made or something written on it is what is a document. So if you go to cemetery and you see an epitaph engraved on a tomb, that tomb becomes what? For the purposes of this, it becomes what? It becomes a document. And then if you have ever done a tour of forestry, maybe you're led by the forestry guides, so at times you get to some trees, you see the barks are peeled off and something is written on them. So that writing on that tree is what? Document. So that portion of the tree, for the purposes of our discussion, translates into what? Document. Because it has something engraved on it. And then also, if I want to maybe teach, I want to write something on your white board, once I written anything here, this thing now becomes what? Document. And maybe for those people who are smart during the exams, somebody wants to say, I don't know this one, and the person just wrote something on top of the desk. Say the answer is this. What is that portion of text becomes what? Document. Even though you have illegally converted it into a document. But for the purposes of our discussion, it becomes what? Document. And in this very time, we have looked at Evidence Act and we have seen yet another expansion of the purview of the meaning of the word document. And I did tell us that when you look at the definition section that has defined the word document, that's section 258, you discover that it has given 4 categories of documents, 4 categories. The first one is the paperwork. So it has retained the paperwork that used to be known as document. And then it didn't stop there. And it's gone further to include audio. Audio now to also mean what? Document. So when I sent you that voice note was what? Document. Especially the document in your phone. And then moving away from the audio, you have the visual, the cinematography and all that things that you can watch, get meaning out of it, and then they become self-explanatory. You are watching football, AFCON, and that's for the purposes of this thing. It means what? Document. That television that you're watching, and you're getting information on it, becomes what? Document. And then you go to the last, aspect of the definition there. It now tells you what, and any other thing that may be defined or described in future or in any other jurisdiction as what, as document. So the word and what constitutes document is not what, is not foreclosed. Now, check for instance, if all we know about document is just the paperwork, and somebody has committed fraud against you through phone, and then you have told the court that fraud was committed, you can bring your phone to show, and then the court asks you, do you have any document to show, and then you bring phone. I say, no, that is not document. How would you feel? You will feel bad, and then you will think that our own jurisprudence has not caught up with what? With modern civilization. So it is the modern civilization that has done what? Extended the frontiers of the meaning of what? Document. And when you tender any of these species of documents in court, it becomes what? Documentary evidence. So that's just what we're talking about in terms of the meaning. And then the next one here now is talking about classes. Classes of document. So in talking about classes of document, it's simply tasking us to find out what types of documents. So basically we have two types of documents. Just like I interrupted the group when they were presenting, the Evidence Act has not defined the word document. What it did to do was describe. It has described what a document looks like, what a document should be. And that deep part shows you that you can still do what? Import any other meaning from another jurisdiction where we don't have that kind of meaning within our own law. Right now, types. The first step we want to see here is as ingrained in section 102, public documents. There are basically two types of documents: public document and private document. So a document is either classified under public document or what? Private document. I want to talk about public document. We also want to know what is the scope of the document that can be known and treated as what? Public document. Section 102 has told us that, and it said that the following documents are public documents. A. Documents forming the official acts or records of the official acts of. And then it starts telling us what and what. In other words, apart from these subs, public document itself is divided into two. The first arm of public document is an official act or record. Official act or record. And you know the difference between private and official is something that has to do with the government, something that has to do with institution or establishment. All right, that's what you use to distinguish it from your private documents. And he's saying that any record, any act that is recorded constituting an official act of what and what sovereign authority, like a whole country, that is one. Official bodies and tribunals, parastatals, ministries, MBAs, and so on and so forth, including what? The judiciary. Their records, the act of the judge, so long as he has not acted for his own benefit, that is taken as what? An official act. And then he's also talking about public officers. What's the difference? The first one is talking about my country, my state. Then B is talking about official bodies, the ministries, the MDAs, and other parastatals. And C is talking about the officers, commissioners, ministers, president, vice president, and so on and so forth. Legislative, honorable members, the judicial staff, executive, whether of Nigeria or elsewhere. So the acts of the personalities or bodies that constitute public document must, as a matter of necessity, be either the act of the sovereign nation or the act of official bodies or tribunals. When that letter proceeds, when I've written the petition, and it is still with me, it is what? Private document. So when it proceeds forth from me to zone 9, and it's not received by anybody yet, because it still remains what? Private document. Until it has been done what? Received. So once it is received by the authority, it becomes what? So if I want to show that I have such a document, and I have pleaded that I wrote a petition and submitted to Zone 9, this is a copy of the petition, and I'm tendering a copy of it. What do you think about that? I've written a petition to the police. I've given it to them. And in court, I want to show that I actually wrote a petition to Zone 9. And I'm bringing another petition to show that I wrote such a petition. What would you think would be the classification of the letter in my hand?
It will classify as private documents if the one you are presenting in the police station has not been received by the authority and endorsed by the authority. So it becomes it will classify as private documents.
I said I've already written, and I'm bringing.
If they have endorsed and you are tendering the very copy, then because
okay, if I'm tendering the very copy,
yes,
you can't tender the very copy now because it's in their custody. Did you understand it? I just want you to understand every bit of the discussion.
Sir, I think it should be a public document in that you have submitted it to the police station, and it is meant that whenever you are submitting a document or a private document to a particular institution, they will endorse it and endorse the one you can have.
Okay, answer.
It will be presumed that the one in the custody of the police and the one I have, that they are the same. So it would be that it was executed in several parts.
You're going too far now. She is correct. Right. So what she had preempted me. But I want us to understand this in step by step. Now, let me take it from your own point of angle. If I wrote a letter, a petition, and submit to the police, and in my pleading, I failed to say that that letter was written in counterpart, that's why she comes in now. I can't tender that one in my possession because that one is still a private document. Do you understand? It's just like my saying, I wrote a letter to you and I'm producing the letter. How come? How did I get it from you? And you're still holding what I submitted to you. Are you understanding me? Right. Now, for me to be able to bring another one that is of similar in nature, it must be of the same character. I must have also said, pleaded, that I did what? I produced it by a uniform process. And I'm giving this for one and I'm holding one. In that sense of that, the only thing I can say is that I made 2 copies, submitted one and they endorsed a copy. So the endorsed copy that I have is the same thing as the one in the hands of the police, and the endorsed copy is what? Public document. So you understand it now. Now, in most cases, such public documents could only be one. So when I have sent it to the police, and I need to rely on it, what do? I will go to the police and ask, can I have a copy? That's, for the next group. So let me just stop there. But I just want you to understand the difference between a private document and what a public document. Now, a private document is a document that is not in the custody of a public authority. If I have a private document that is in the custody of a public authority, it will be treated as what? Public document. And in which case, the one required of me to tender will be what? The one in the public. Once it becomes a public document, the character has changed. Do you understand? The character had changed. Except if in my pleading I have said that I did them by the semi-informed process, there are 2, I gave them one, I hold one. For instance, indeed, power of attorney. A power of attorney is usually executed in triplet. You submit it to the Ministry of Lands and Survey for registration. 3 of them are stamped. One is kept as the registry copy. You return with 2. One is called the original, the other one is called the duplicate, not photocopy. Duplicate, not photocopy. Just to show that these 3 things are one. So if I have a power of attorney already stamped by the Ministry of Lands and Survey, I do not need to go to them to apply to get what they have. Because what they have, I also have. They have the same character, they have passed through the same process, and they are all public documents. So I can tender what I have. It's different from when I have written a letter, submit to Zone 9. It has been stamped and I'm having the unstamped one. There is no way I can show that what I'm having is a public document. Rather, what I'm having is what? Private. And it cannot fly. It cannot be admissible depending on what I want to do, because I've already said that this document has become a public document. If it has become a public document, why am I then submitting a private document? You get the argument?
Yes, sir. All
right. So that maybe by the time we look at proof, how are all these documents proved? How are they used in court? That's when you can begin to tell me primary and secondary. Primary and secondary are not types. They are not types of documents. Types of documents are just what? Private and... So let's have group 11.